Alright guys, Monday night, February the 8th, 2021 I believe, and we're back on our list and we're just looking at these frame pockets, and I've got a half beside them. That means I basically, come on in. What do you got for me there, Les?
Some fancy chrome stainless.
What are we going to make with that?
I don't know. I just wanted to show you a sample.
Maybe we should make like a hard top center section out of that for the car. What do you think?
I get it for free.
Are you wearing a double mask?
Oh yeah.
A double mask for safety. Good for you.
I get this for free, Dave.
Well, don't say that. Everybody will want some. Alright, so Les is going to give me a hand moving the body tub around because we're starting to think about how we want to get the body back on the chassis on the weekend. The trailer is on the left-hand side of the garage. We want to move the body to the right-hand side of the garage, but we also want to flip it around so that the front of the engine bay is towards the front of the garage. That's the way the chassis is situated in the trailer. So I can just roll the chassis out, put it on the left-hand side of the garage, and then we'll just pick the body up and hopefully transfer it over to the body or over to the chassis fairly easily. So that's what we're going to attempt to do now. We're just going to spin it around really slowly. We're going to pick it up by hand versus using the crane. Just put a little bit extra support here on the dolly just in case it collapses. And like I said, we're just going to move it a few inches at a time and take our time, but I just wanted to show you what we're doing. All right, Les, ready to go?
Leave the carpet on?
No, you can pull it off. All right, we managed to get the body swung around, so we're in good shape there to do the on-frame work on the weekend. We're going to try to bring the chassis in probably maybe on Thursday or Friday so we can do the repainting work that's required on the chassis, the touch-ups, and we're going to tap out all those holes as mentioned. That'll give us an opportunity to get a bit of a head start so we don't have to do that on Saturday when we plan to get this body on the chassis. So, thanks for the help, Les.
Alright, no worries.
One more little job done and we'll get back to putting those frame pockets in. Alright guys, welcome back. Now Tuesday, and unfortunately we didn't do too much yesterday as I ended up getting sidetracked literally with moving the body around the garage, and we didn't complete the installation of our frame pocket covers, so we're going to do that this morning, and then we are going to start wet sanding our wheel wells here in the engine bay to see if we can get those to look a little bit better. So frame pockets first, and then we'll move on. Alright guys, took me a couple hours if you can believe it, but frame pockets are in and sealed, so they look good. So the problem obviously is trying to screw these in and reach under the car at the same time. I could have used an extra set of hands, but we managed to do it with a little bit of persistence and patience. So those are good to go. So that means that we can move on to our next task, which is wet sanding. Oh, the joy. So we're going to soak some sandpaper. We're going to do 1500 grit, 2000 grit, 2500 grit. Then we're going to get into the compound. Then we're going to get into the swirl remover and so on and so forth. So, more sanding. All right, not sure whether I mentioned 1500, 2000, 2500 on the previous video segment, but we've got our 1500 here, wet the panel. We've got our 2000 grit and our 2500 grit over here standing by that will soak next. So if you remember color sanded before, the intent is to sand to a point where you can get the little dust nibs out of the clear without actually going through the clear into the color. So you can pretty much follow your progress by doing what we did before when we were sanding to repaint this. You want to basically sand it until you can't see any more shiny spots. So once we get to that point, then we'll step down in the paper grade, or up in the paper grade, up to 2000, and then we'll finish at 2500 grit before we break out the polisher, and we'll hit it with the compound, and then we'll hit it with a finishing polish. So I'm not sure if I'm going to take you through all the steps or not. I'm not sure if this is going to correct these issues 100%. I'm hoping that it'll get us to a point where I can just live with it, and I don't have to actually physically sand this down and respray it. That's always an option. If the dirt's really bad and you can't sand it out, then the only option sometimes is to sand it down and re-clear that area that you're concerned about. I'm hoping we don't have to do that, but we shall see how we do. All right, we'll get to soaking this paper, and We'll bring out a soft pad and we will start sanding. All right guys, just wanted to give you a quick shot. We've gone through the 3 steps from 1500 to 2500 and it's looking not too bad. So what I generally do now is we'll dry it off and have a look, and wherever you see shiny are little areas that you've missed or you need to do a little bit better on. So let's go across over here, and you can see here that I've missed this area, and you can actually see where the spots are that I'm trying to get out. So we're going to go back here and we're going to sand this little area down to here, not doing the whole wheel well, just doing basically the top side of it. You can see I've got most of the other bits out though here. There's a few little shiny bits there if you can see them, one little shiny bit there. But other than that, most of the other stuff is out of the top here. So we did okay here, but we'll go back and we'll resand this area back in here and go through the steps again. Then we'll break out the buffer. All right guys, we're just about to start the compounding stage. I just wanted to give you a quick shot of that area that we'd fixed up. You can see I've got a bit of a low spot there. Obviously I missed a little body work, and that's going to show up now. But other than that, it looks much better. So we're going to grab the DA. So it's kind of a random orbit sander that I've got by Porter Cable. So this is what we're going to use. Got an assortment of pads. We're going to go with the orange pad, which is sort of a semi-firm pad for the compound, and we'll work our way up through the pads. Usually we only need to use 2 pads, but we'll see what we do, and we'll see what we need. All right, a quick shot of it after the compounding stage. So it's coming up not too bad. I can see a couple dents. Nothing I can do about those though. I should have caught them at the bodywork stage, but they come a little bit more glaring when you're polishing clear coat. Let me just say that. All right, let's pick out the polish and we'll switch pads and we'll see how it comes out. All right, driver's side inner fender is done. And again, I'm not real happy with the quality of this style polisher, so probably have to redo it when I get a rotary. But as far as getting the nibs out, it definitely helped. It could be a little shinier. I'm not sure how this is going to show up in the lights. It's definitely got a few little scratches in it that I find I tend to get swirl marks with that style more than I do with the rotary, but definitely polished all the nibs out, which is good. Didn't get quite as tight as I wanted up here because this pad actually is a little too small for the interface, so it was actually hitting the edge of the, I had to be careful that it was hitting the edge of the backing pad, so we'll have to finish that up with a different style. I've got an Air one. It's a mini that I can probably do a little bit better job there. So anyway, like I said, not sure how well that's showing up in the camera or not. I'm not finished with it yet, but it's definitely much better than it was. Definitely got all the nibs out. So I think what we'll do now is we will go to the other side, and maybe we'll give you a bit of a before shot before we start sanding on that side, so you can see all of the nibs a little bit closer, and we'll see if we can get them out with a little bit of sanding, buffing, and polishing. All right, let's see if we can do a little pre-video here to catch some of these dirt nibs. So you can obviously see a bunch of nibs there. I think those are coming through the camera. I've got one that's a bit of a concern up here. This is quite, this one here is actually quite deep. I can actually feel the trash with that one with my finger. It's sitting sort of on the top, so not sure whether we'll be able to scrub that out or not. All right, so I think that gives you probably an idea of where we're starting from. And I'll try to give you a shot once the sanding is complete, and we'll see if we made it any better or if we made it worse. All right guys, passenger side fender well is now done, so let's have a look, see how we did. How's that looking? So we'll go back over it closely, and you can probably see that I got most of the nibs out. That one I was concerned about is still there a little bit. See right there? it was a pretty deep piece of dirt in there. Pretty difficult to get out, so I'm not too worried about that, trust me. This looks much better down here. I hope you can see. All right, so we'll call that buffed. I'm not unhappy with that, so I think we can move on. All right, that's it for today. We'll upload this, and we'll cross a few more things off the list, and then we'll get back out here tomorrow, figure out something to do. Body on's coming soon. See you later. All right, guys, Wednesday night out in the garage. Take 2 on the buffing and polishing. We've got a rotary buffer now, which is my preferred method to do this. We'll make this look a little bit better. Doesn't look too bad right now, but I think I can make it better. So we're going to break out the rotary polisher and go to town. So spent a few minutes buffing it with the rotary, and I do like the rotary polisher much better. It just gives me much better results. But you got to be a lot more careful, that's for sure. Anyway, it is shiny enough for me now for the engine bay. Still a few little areas that are not great, but I think it looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see me in there. Hello. So that area I've cleaned up pretty nicely. It's got a pretty good shine to it now. That area looks okay. So yeah, I think we're good to move on from the engine bay now and concentrate on getting this back on the chassis. So let's put the buffing compounds aside, and we'll move on from here. All right, have a good night. Thanks. Bye.